Hi, Hawk Nation. Tonight we're going to begin with reviewing what a plot chart is and why it's so vital for us to use when we're reading Locomotion. Locomotion is a fiction story. It's a boy's personal narrative about what is going on now that his parents are dead. We know that because we read pages 18 and 19, and we know that they passed away in a fire, which that's really sad. But today we were asked to identify the events that were occurring in the exposition and the rising action. And so as a quick review, we're going to go ahead and look at what a plot chart is. And a plot chart is mapping of plot that allows readers and writers to visualize key features and structure of a story. So let's look at this. Typically, it looks like a mountain with a jagged peak at the top. And the reason that we use this type of visual is so that we can see what's happening. In the exposition, also known as the introduction, that's when we learn who the characters are. We learn the setting, and the author introduces everything that we potentially need to know. Then there's some type of inciting moment. Maybe there's an initial conflict, but it's not the biggest conflict, but something happens to lead to some sort of rising action. And in that rising action, those are all the important events that are going to happen that lead us to our big conflict. That big conflict is going to lead to the climax of the story. And that's when it changes. That's the turning point. That's when everything falls into place and it all just comes tumbling down in our falling action. Notice how rising action and falling action, if you close your eyes for a minute, you can actually visualize what's happening in those two words. Rising action, that means going up. Climax, that's like bum, 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 something's getting ready to happen. And then there's falling action. Those are the events that are going to happen after the climax. Now, depending on your story, that can take a while, the falling action that leads to your resolution, and your resolution is like the final event, the final thing, but it can be short also. So there's no definitive way, there's no real roadmap that you can follow for that, but you just need to be aware of what's happening. And we touched on something at the beginning of the year, and it was after the resolution, there were those a couple of months later, this happened. And that's called denouement. So when we're talking about locomotion, remember these things. Remember, we need to be able to identify what's happening, what's going on. What was the exposition of the story? How do we find out who the characters are? Right now, we know about Miss Edna. We know about Miss Marcus. We know about Lily, Mom, Dad. We also know about who is our main character. Who is this personal narrative being written by? Oh, that's Lonnie. And we're going to find out why the book is called Locomotion today as we read through the pages that we're going to read through. So hopefully this has brightened the spark in your brains to remind you of why we're using a plot chart. Why did we ask you today to be able to fill these things out? So as we talk and as we visualize and role play that stuff in our heads and identify figurative language and identify sensory language, with, by the way, I'm really proud of you guys. Y'all did a great job with that today. Let's also be identifying what are those things that are happening in the rising action of Locomotion. It's such a great book. So let's get to what we're reading tonight, and let's keep making great things happen, guys. All right, Hawks. Tonight we're going to read pages 20 through 28. We just reviewed the plot chart, so hopefully you're able to continue those notes in your reader-writer notebook about the rising action of this story. As we read, please continue to identify figurative language that you see. Make sure you write what it is. Is it a simile? Does it use like or as? Is it a metaphor, which is a comparison without using like or as? Is it onomatopoeia? Does the author say something that you can hear you can hear that, like thwack, zap. Think Batman, the old timey ones that maybe our grandma and grandpa watched. So think about those. And then sensory language, my favorite. Touch your eyes, touch your ears, touch your nose, touch your tongue only if you've washed your hands. And then feel your fingers, touch your fingers together. Those are our senses, our 5 senses, and that's sensory language. So be on the lookout for that. In addition, keep in mind your rising action. Alrighty, so here we go. Sonnet poem. Miss Marcus says, mostly sonnets are about love. I think about Mama and Daddy and my sister. How Mama and Daddy are somewhere up above. And Lily just far enough away for me to miss her. Miss Marcus says sonnet comes from sonetto, and that sonetto means little song or sound. It reminds me of that guy's name, Geppetto, the one who made Pinocchio from wood he found. Miss Marcus says you gotta write things a lot of times before they come out sounding the right way. I know this poem's not about love, but at least it rhymes. Maybe I'll get the sonnet thing right one day. If I had one wish, I'd be 7 years old again, living on President Street, playing with my friends. Lonnie in this poem mentions that there's rhyme. Can you identify where the rhyming words are? How I Got My Name. Whenever that song came on that goes, come on, baby, do the locomotion, Mama would make us dance with her. We'd do this dance called the locomotion. When we'd bend our elbows and move our arms in circles at our sides, like our arms were train wheels, I can see us doing it now in slow motion. Mama grinning and singing along, saying all proud, my kids got rhythm. Sometimes Lily got behind me, and we'd do the locomotion around our little living room till the song ended, and we fell out on the couch, laughing. Mama would say, you see why I love that song so much, Lonnie? See why I had to make it your name? Lonnie Collins Motion, Mama would say. Locomotion. Yeah. So guys, I know this is really low budget, but I wanted to give you something to connect to what he's talking about. So I'm going to play a little bit of the song that Lonnie was named after. Okay, so forgive me, that was a little cheesy, but I think it's funny how in the song it also talks about a little sister, and Lonnie has one. Lonnie was named after Locomotion. There's all these connections that we can make, and so I think it's just awesome. So if you have some kind of connection to a song or something like that, let's talk about it. Let's let that be your entrance ticket tomorrow, or at least one of them. Describe somebody. Today in class, Miss Marcus said, take out your poetry notebooks and describe somebody. Think carefully, Miss Marcus said. You're going to read it to the class. I wrote, Miss Marcus is tall and a little bit skinny. Then I put my pen to my mouth and stared down at the words. Then I crossed them out and wrote, Miss Marcus's hair is long and brown, shiny. When she smiles, it makes you feel all good inside. I stopped writing and looked around the room. Angel was staring out the window. Eric and Lamont were having a pen fight. They don't care about poetry. Stupid words, Eric says. Lots and lots of stupid words. Eric is tall and a little bit mean. Lamont's just regular. Angel's kind of chubby. He's got light brown hair. Sometimes we all hang out, play a little ball or something. Angel's real good at science stuff. Once, he made a volcano for a science fair, and the stuff that came out of it looked like real lava. Lamont can draw superheroes real good. Eric, nobody at school knows this, but he can sing. Once, Miss Edna took me to a different church than the one we usually go to on Sunday. I was surprised to see Eric up there with the choir robe on. He gave me a mean look, like I'd better not say nothing about him in his dark green robe with gold around the neck. After the preacher preached, Eric sang a song with nobody else in the choir singing. Miss Edna started dabbing at her eyes, whispered, "Yes, Lord." Eric's voice was like something that didn't seem like it should belong to Eric. Seemed like it should be coming out of an angel. Now I gotta write a whole new poem, 'cause Eric would be real mad if I told the class about his angel voice. Epistle poem. Hey Pops, today our teacher showed us this poem by this poet guy named Langston Hughes. It made me remember something that long time ago when you read us that good night poem about that guy who loved his friend. And it made me kind of think that maybe Langston Hughes is the same guy who wrote that one because his name sounded familiar. Underwater familiar. Like I dreamed it, sort of. I'm not going to try to explain. I figure you understand. The only thing about what Miss Marcus read was it wasn't a poem. She said it's called an epistle poem, and it was a letter. I didn't know a letter could be a kind of poem. So now I'm writing one to you to say that even though we can't do stuff like go to the park on our bikes or eat hot dogs from that cart where the guy who always wore the Yankees cap yelled at me for being a Mets fan, but gave us a discount if we bought 4 hot dogs, and we always did, and ate them standing there arguing with him, even when the Mets lost again and again. I just wanted to say that even though we can't do that kind of stuff no more, I haven't forgotten none of it. I'm going to go see if I can find that poem about that guy loving his friend. I hope it's by Langston Hughes. Love, Locomotion. So the type of poem that she educated him about is a poem or other literary work in the form of a letter or a series of letters. Isn't that cool? I think that's neat. Epistle poem. I want to draw your attention to this. Underwater familiar. What do you think Lonnie means, or locomotion means, by underwater familiar? I want you to make an inference chart and infer, or that means a good guess, infer what underwater water, familiar, means. Roof Poem 2. Up here, the sky goes on and on like something you could fall right up into and keep falling. Fall so fast and so far and for so long you don't have to worry about where you're going to live next. Where are you going to be if somebody all of a sudden changes their mind about living with you? Up here, you could just let your mind take you to all kinds of beautiful places you never been before in real life. Tahiti, Puerto Rico, Spain, Australia with all those kangaroos hopping around. And then you can come on back and call the place you come back to home. Wow, that was powerful. How do you think he's feeling right now? He lost his home. He has no parents anymore. His sister's living under a different roof, and all he wants to do is see her so bad. He's going through this all by himself. Lonnie is putting pen to paper, and he's writing about what he's going through, what he's thinking, how he's feeling. How do you think it feels to wake up and not have somebody want you living with them? Wow. Me, Eric, Lamont, and Angel. Once I saw a house fall down on a lady, Lamont says. That ain't nothing, Angel says. Once I saw this dog get hit by a car. He went way up in the air, and when he came down again, he got up and ran away. But he stopped at the corner, Angel says, and died. Eric squints up his eyes, looks out over the schoolyard. The sky's real blue and no wind's blowing. I shake my head, trying to shake that dog out of it. Once I saw a little boy, Eric says, all mysterious. And then in my dream, he was a man. We all look at him and don't say nothing. Far away, I hear some girls singing real slow and sad. Her mother, she went upstairs too, saying, "Daughter, oh daughter, what's troubling you?" That ain't no tragedy, Angel says, giving Eric a look. More than what Lonnie seen, Eric says, grinning at me. In my head, I see a fire. I see black windows. I hear people hollering. I smell smoke. I hear a man's voice saying, "I'm so sorry." I hear myself screaming. "Never seen nothing," I say. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Close your eyes. Let me read that stanza again for you. Lonnie's talking about Lonnie's really thinking about, what he sees in his head, because these guys are, trying to one up each other. And close your eyes and I hope you can see this. I hope you can smell it. This is so sensory language. In my head, I see a fire. I see black windows. I hear people hollering. I smell smoke. I hear a man's voice saying, "I'm so sorry." I hear myself screaming. Failing. I got a 39 on my math test, 'cause I don't understand numbers. 'Cause you say 1 plus 1 equals 2. And I go, why? You say just 'cause. Like just 'cause somebody said it means it's the truth. And since I don't believe the things people say is always the truth, 'cause sometimes people lie, it's hard to understand math. All right, Hawks, that's it for tonight. We read a lot of good stuff, and I hope you made notes. Make sure you're practicing identifying your figurative language and your sensory language. Don't forget about that plot chart. I hope that reviewing it helped, looking at the rising action, and just I hope you're like really enjoying this book. It's so good. There's so much to it. So if you have any questions, as always, give us a quick email or talk to us tomorrow at school. Don't forget, we have tutorials in the mornings. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you later.